and welcome to the Teaching Corner. Today we're going to continue talking about the book NeuroTeach, which was Brain Science and the Future of Education. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was the unconscionable list, or things that teachers should never do again. So one of the things that the book talks about is that we as teachers shouldn't give pop quizzes for a grade. We'll go into this a little bit more, but one of the things that it says in the book is that anytime we give a test or a quiz, it should be announced, because when it's not announced, even if you tell students, you could have a pop quiz any day now, they don't study. If you tell them we're going to have a quiz on Wednesday, then they'll actually study. And if the goal is for long-term retention, then we want to create an atmosphere where kids are going to study short amounts over a long period of time. Another thing that it says that we shouldn't do is start class by going over homework. And we're going to talk about why, but when we do that, we miss a prime time for learning. And we also don't want to teach all the way to the bell, because we'll talk about it again later, but we're going to miss that second prime time of learning. And then we want to make sure that we're not coaching our students to use passive study techniques. One of the worst things that we can tell our students to do is just to reread their notes. We need to be sure that they're using active study methods. Another thing that we don't want to do is define our kids by individual learning styles. So we don't want to say, oh, well, this student is an auditory learner, I'm only going to do things auditorily, or this student is a visual learner, because all of our students learn using all of our modalities. So we really want to structure our lesson plans to cover as many modalities as possible. And we don't want to vary the modality of teaching based on these perceived learning preferences. Like I said before, if it's a visual child only doing things visually or auditorily, we want to mix it up what we're doing with our kids. Then they also talk about that we don't want to apply labels to our students like lazy or smart. We want to make sure that we're the ones making judgments based on our observations of the kids and an understanding of what is our students' background, what is their disability. Do they look lazy because they have an auditory processing problem and they're actually so exhausted that they can't process all of the information that we're giving them at the time? Or do they have attention deficit and it looks like they're not paying attention, but maybe their medication isn't working? There's so many factors that go into why our students do what they do, and we want to be sure that we're doing our best to understand what all of those things are. We want to be careful that we don't believe our students have fixed levels of ability. As we said in the last video, all of our students can benefit from the strategies that we're teaching them, and they can all improve their executive functioning. And we want to be sure too that our content delivery is not dominated by lecture. So we want to be sure that our kids are actively learning and that we're not just the sage on the stage rather than the guide on the side. We want to make sure that our assessments are varied. And it doesn't mean we can't use multiple choice, but we don't want all of our assessments dominated by multiple choice. Some of our students will do better when they have fixed answers, but some of our students perform better when there's open questions so that they can let you know what it is that they've actually learned about a particular topic, or if they have another way of being assessed, like a performance-based type of test versus a written test. And again, we want to be sure that we're not the sage on the stage and not guide on the side. We want to be careful that we are praising their effort and not just the grade. We want to make sure that if a student studied extra hard for something, they're trying really hard, but it doesn't show on the grade, that we're not just praising achievement. And we want to be careful that we're not the kind of teacher that doesn't recognize how emotions play into things, how their identity plays into things, and their health plays into their learning. We need to make sure that we're creating safe environments for our students so that they feel an emotional connection with us, they feel safe with us, they feel like they can trust us, and therefore learning can take place. So I hope that was helpful. If it was, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.